there is resurrection power when we sing the name of Jesus.
Hey everybody, thanks so much for joining us for these Wednesday nights. We're just super blessed and honored to be able to do this and hopefully stay connected with everybody through this time. And we just thank you so much for tuning in and watching and sharing these videos. So I just want to take a few moments tonight and just share a little bit with you on what's been on my heart and just one of my most favorite stories, one of my just a story that's truly just captivated me for a long time, and share some things with you that I find interesting about it, and hopefully you will too. So just to dive right in, I want to share a little bit on the story of Lazarus. I'm sure many of you have heard it before. I'm sure lots of people know it and hopefully agree that it's just one of the coolest stories. So obviously, a guy, Lazarus, the brother of Mary and Martha, and he ends up dying and being put in a tomb for 4 days, and then Jesus comes in and like he always does, saves the day and brings him back to life, and everything is great, So I just want to kind of loosely go through this story and then share just a couple things with you that I really like about it. So first off, I think the name Lazarus, I think it's a super cool name. I think even knowing now what it means just makes it more, or that much more, just kind of cool to me and everything. So the name Lazarus literally means God has helped. And so if you caught that, has, it kind of puts it in a past tense. God has helped, meaning that God has helped in the past, or God has helped me before. It's not necessarily a God will help. It's not God is helping. It puts it behind. And so if you look at the story of Lazarus and filter it kind of through that lens, he's laying there dead. And his name literally means God has helped. And so there's if you take it at kind of just the face value, it kind of gives a sense that maybe God won't come through this time. But if you know the story, God, as soon as he hears that Lazarus is sick, he says this sickness will not end in death. And so I just really think that's cool. And even in my own life, oftentimes I have to remind myself over and over and over and over, God has been there before, and he'll be here now. What God did on the cross, he paid for it all. He loves me. And no matter what I'm facing today, I know God will help because he has helped. How do you build trust with someone? How do you build rapport with someone? How do you build any sort of sustainable or significant kind of platform to with anybody or anything? You prove it by kind of what you do. And if someone was to come to me and say, hey, can you build me a house? Well, no, because I've never done it. But if I've built 1,000 houses, then yeah, I can probably build you a house. God showed up 1,000 times, and he will show up this time. And so the next thing that I really just find fascinating about this story, is that there's a small verse in there, Jesus wept, and I'm sure we're all familiar with it. But I think the context and the placement of this verse is super crazy and super cool. So by this point in the story, Jesus has made it to Mary and Martha. He's there with them. Mary and Martha have come out to him separately, and they've both expressed, Jesus, if you were here, this would not have happened. And so they both kind of show this sense of like, God, if you were here before he died, we know you could have healed him. And so, but by all means, I believe Jesus was weeping with them, in this time, in this scene, because he is full of compassion and full of love, and he wants to be with us in these sad moments, and he really wants to empathize with us, and he can empathize with us, through these dark times. But then part of me also believes that he's weeping because right before Jesus weeps with Mary and Martha, he asks them, "Where is Lazarus? Where have you laid him?" That's what he says. "Where have you laid him?" Now, of course he knew, but I think he was drawing attention to, have you laid him out for me? Is he ready to receive his miracle? Is he accessible for me to come in and raise him to life just like I said I was going to do? Or have you put him in the tomb already? Is he in the tomb already? Is he wrapped in the burial clothes, which he was? So part of me believes that Jesus is weeping because Mary and Martha and, maybe some more people that were there, they've taken their hope for a miracle and they've placed it in the tomb with Lazarus. They've counted it as a lost. Jesus, if you were here, he wouldn't have died. But what I don't think they fully understand is death does not have the final say. And Jesus knew that. Jesus knew that only his Father had the final say. And so, which, obviously moving forward in the story, we know that the stone was rolled away. Jesus called out for Lazarus, "Lazarus, come forth." And he walked out of the tomb, alive and healthy and most likely happy. Yeah, happy as heck to be alive and not be dead anymore. Probably happy to be able to take a bath or something. But when he comes out of the tomb, he's still wrapped in his burial clothes. And so that's kind of the final thing that I find really cool and interesting about this story, is that he's still wrapped in his death clothes. And so I know for me, many times, someone will speak a great revelation about God, and it'll strike me, and it'll really just kind of just spark my heart, on fire, and I'll think about it and think about it and think about it. But I still feel like I'm in these burial clothes. I still feel like I'm kind of still trying to peel away this old style of thinking, or this old style of seeing things or perceiving God, or and even after this incredible new revelation. And it's okay. That process is okay. That process of removing our burial clothes is okay, because even though Lazarus still had his burial clothes on, he was just as alive. He was just as alive walking out of that tomb in burial clothes as he would have been if he walked out of that tomb in a bright white suit. Or they probably didn't have suits back then, but you get the gist. He was just as alive, breathing just as deeply, just as happy. What he was before in the tomb, what he had on before, did not affect what God had just did. He was alive and he was happy. And so those are just a few things that I find super cool about this story, and I hope you guys did too. And so we just, again, thank you so much for tuning in and staying a part of this. And we hope to see you guys soon. All right, love you. Bye.
Men come out of that grave, come out of that grave when we sing. Captives, let go of those chains, let go of those chains when